Hey traders, welcome to this video. Will Sebastian here. I'm just going to do several quick videos this morning as we go into London session. Be teaching later on. Go underneath this video if you want to learn. So Bitcoin, risk on asset. We know that it's been absolutely pummeled. I mentioned long levels below. If you look at your higher time frames, you can see them quite clearly. It stands out a lot. You know, we spoke about this. You can obviously see that candle wick there. And markets are just reacting to that. It's really just a relinquishing of that really solid short side bias, which you saw come through. So a reasonably reactive area, and you're now getting that pop to the upside. Now, the sentiment is coming from worries about recession in the US, that the Fed took too long to cut, and you know it's causing a lot of fear. And of course, like I said, Bitcoin is a risk on asset. So when you get things like equities fall, you're going to get the same for risk on assets as well, like crypto, Bitcoin. So whether you break through this resistance and then a further one is really debatable. I would certainly say if you had it long, I would very much consider locking in gains, because you have to remember that, you know, you've got a lesser chance of being right given the sentiment is still against you. You know, there's still fear in the markets. There's a good chance you may lose those gains. If you go on to your hourly, you can see something a little bit like that. The other alternative, of course, is to lock in gains. So if you took it long, set a trailing stop and just move it up. And I would probably say once you get to your earliest levels, you know, your key MAs and earliest resistance, for an ultimate early exit, that may be ideal. And I would just do that simply because, like I said, the sentiment is against you, and the chances of you getting higher are lower. It doesn't mean it can't happen. It doesn't mean you won't end up, you know, up here in line with these MAs. Just means perhaps it's less likely. I would say, and we don't want that, I would say if you want to short it, really, and a bigger pullback would be ideal. And it would probably bring you in line with these lower highs you can see. Okay, whether you actually get up there is very debatable. The only thing that's going to drag this lower immediately is just a continuation or more fear in the market, essentially. So I'd say if you had it long, take your gains. You know, the profit's on the table, get out and exit, because you're running risk amongst this sentiment. If you are an investor in crypto and you believe in the long-term case, you know, you're probably going to want to wait until a little bit lower, I would say. The reason being is your 100 and 200 MA still have a little bit of room to go. And again, underneath this area of key support, you still have all of this. So as the negative market sentiment persists, you know, it might be wise to take gains and look to long lower should you get there ultimately. Again, that's just going to depend on market sentiment and the way things shape up. But my preferred long zone really isn't, again, where you just rose from. It's much lower down, about 42.5. But that was okay for an entry. Whether it will last or not, it remains to be seen. And this really is part of a healthy correction. If you look at your long-term fib, you can see that only rests about 50% of the way down. So not an awfully long way. Good long zone, about 42K in my eyes. Thanks for watching, guys. Get my free training underneath.